Strategy Show, Wednesday, September 11th. 14-game slate again. I don't know what I was looking at. I must have flipped to Thursday accidentally. I opened it up and I was like, oh, this is going to be a pretty manageable one. And then I downloaded the schedule and pasted it in, and it fit directly where yesterday's did. And I was like, oh, cool. It's just the same day as yesterday.
Yeah, I went to bed last night and I was just like, oh, wait, tomorrow's Wednesday. I might not even have a show in the morning because we might have a big early slate. Oh, no, there's 14 games.
Yeah. I was hoping for the split slate just for like something to do in the afternoon.
Right.
No dice. So, anything interesting for you yesterday? I do not see your name anywhere relevant in the $15, so I'm going to guess no unless you hit something on the late slate.
No, had a lot of Dodgers. Corey Seager came through. Gavin Lux came through. Had a bunch of those guys.
Yeah.
Like 20. I think I had like 22% Lux, like 12 or 13% Seager.
At 20% Seager, ultimately meaningless.
Yeah, the rest of the Dodger stack sucked. I didn't have the Athletics, which obviously is where you really needed to be.
Yeah, they put up a couple.
Yeah. And my boys Max Fried and Mitch Keller did not come through.
No, they did not. Walker Buehler came through.
Yeah.
39.35 DK points. Exposure to Walker Buehler in this contest, 11.6%. Exposure to both Alex and you, flat 0.
Yeah.
And then, obviously Sean Murphy getting 37 points we should have saw that one coming from a mile away.
Yeah, everyone on Oakland.
Yeah. I didn't realize Jason Hayward had 36, he and Chris Bryant, so that's a nice little Cubs duo. Jason Hayward, 36.
I actually ended up a little bit better than I thought because I guess the Cubs did well. I had a lot of Cubs too.
Yeah, Hayward and Bryant both hung 36, so if you got two of them in a stack, you're going to be looking pretty good, especially if you drop one of those in there with one of the Corey Seagers.
Yeah, I mean, I still got my ass beat, but I just refreshed my balance and have a little bit more than I expected.
There you go. Most exposed pitcher for Alex yesterday. He went even heavier than you. Trevor Bauer. You basically matched the field. Alex had 77% Trevor Bauer.
Yeah, I kind of saw that coming from our show because we were both really high on Bauer, but he was not high on the other guys that I liked, Fried and Keller, so it makes sense.
Okay. So, just, taking a brief pause here to click to see if we are actually streaming, because there's no one in chat.
We might not be streaming. It might just be September 11th baseball.
Yeah, that was my next thought process, but we are in fact streaming. There's just no one in chat today, so this might be our best show ever. Oh man, we gotta get something done. That's fantastic. Clearly, we all saw the Cardinals Rockies game coming, right? Just a perfect Coors slate, 2-1. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I want to check out all the ownership in the aggregate, and then we can get out of this recap. There we go. We got some chat messages coming in. Stragglers are coming. Had to happen eventually. Jake. Thanks, Jake. I think you're the only person watching right now. Thanks for joining us. All right. By team, in the least surprising thing ever, Cardinals were the chalk stack. Twofold over the Dodgers. Alex, meanwhile, doubled up the public as well. 28 total fantasy points from the starting lineup of the St. Louis Cardinals last night. That's not going to put you in a great spot if you've got 233 total percent. I mean, I was all over them too. You were slightly under the field. Any reason?
On the Cardinals?
Yeah.
Ownership, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Your most owned stack was still the Cardinals, so nothing crazy there. Lots of Milwaukee, lots of the Dodgers. You basically just took that extra Cardinals line ownership that Alex had and spread it across 6 or 7 teams, basically. Alex's top stack, clearly the Cardinals, also came in 4x the field on the Brew Crew, which probably looked really good after, I think, Hernan Perez homered early, but stopped going anywhere. Jake says the Cards are dead to me until 7 p.m. I hear you. Probably run them right back again today. None of it mattered because any guesses as to how many fantasy points the Oakland starting lineup had total?
180?
210.
Wow.
That's Chad Pinder was the low score at 13. I mean, you usually have like 1 or 2 bagels in there, but everybody, 2 guys over 30, 5 guys north of 20. Robbie Grossman at 19 would have been 6. And no one on the team owned more than 4.5%. Man, if you just happened to have Oakland yesterday, you printed money. Let's see. Yeah. Wow. Great day for the pros. Piano Club, Tyrannosaurus Rex, Giant Squid, Ricky D. That's just filling up the top. So those guys clearly had chunks of Oakland. But one single bullet, DS Jonesy Y. Nope, I don't know why I said the Y. DS Jonesy. That's exactly how you would say it. Single bullet got to 9th with just the 2-man Cubs stack and not with Chris Bryant. With Horner and Jason Hayward. He had 2 A's. Murphy and Olsen. No, wrong lineup. 1 A, just Murphy. And he got that all the way to the top with 1 single A and not both of the nuts from the Cubs. So congrats on threading that needle. The Walker Buehler Ryan Yarborough combo. Yarborough, not a guy that I was planning to land on DraftKings yesterday at 9K. Yuck. Turns out it didn't matter at all. Johnny Cueto went for 22?
Wow. Did not see that coming. Good for him.
1.3% ownership. Now I just kind of want to see the box score. Did you even think that was possible?
Not really.
I mean, he was like to me, he was the easiest pitcher to disregard. You're like, all right, he's just, how deep could he possibly go? Turns out deep enough. Where the hell is the damn Giants game? A's, Astros, Red Sox, Rays, Reds, Pirates. Did they play? Are they not on here? Am I blind?
What? Who?
Okay, there we go. I wanted to find the Giants to find out like what Cueto's actual line was. He went 5 innings, faced 17 batters, 1 hit, 4 Ks, 1 walk. That'll do it. 1 hit. Not exactly a great start on FanDuel. Excellent start on DraftKings, I guess. Although at 8K, I mean, what was his value? Couldn't have been that high, right?
No, I mean, you didn't need him.
No, not even close, but
yeah.
As a pitcher, he had he's 5th. Okay, that's higher than I would have expected. Nova 17. Chichi Gonzalez went for 21. Pitching's weird, man.
I love baseball.
Highest value pitcher on the slate, Chichi Gonzalez. We all saw that coming. 0.9% ownership. Zach Plesac, 35 fantasy points. Second highest value on the slate. 1.3% ownership. Those guys were in 450 lineups total out of 20,000.
And that was against the Angels?
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah.
But
everything's just like running together now with football and stuff.
Chichi Gonzalez first MLB win since September 22nd, 2015 per chat.
Good for him.
Incredible. Okay, let's get into this. MLB Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month of Awesome Mo Plus. If you want to check out one of our platinum packages that cover all of our sports, use the promo code MLB Strategy when signing up. It's just one big word. You can get 50% off. And if you want to sign up to play at Yahoo Sports, because they are the presenting sponsor of this show, I'm going to drop the link into chat right now for Emacs Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article. There's some information on how to sign up at Yahoo. If you use that and use the promo code AWESOMO, you can get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports Rewards points. There were some issues with the code over the past couple days, but we have gotten those straightened out, so you should be good to go. Jake, if you can grab the link, if you're there and available, can you drop the link to Emacs article? I'm having some issues with the site, so might not be able to pull it up. Yahoo running another Millionaire Baller for week 2 of the NFL. 150 max entries in this one. First time they're doing a 150. Still no CSV edit, so you're still entering those all manually. I will be putting in quite a few into that contest. I still think it's one of the best possible contests to enter in week 2. No management fee whatsoever, so you can't really beat scenarios like that. They're running no management fee contests that aren't 150 max. They've got some 10 max contests like that for NFL. They still run a 10 max $3 no management fee for baseball. The payout structures are much flatter, generally speaking. Not all, but generally speaking.
Found that out the hard way.
Yeah. Not like you wouldn't have entered it anyway, but...
No, I mean, I still would have played. Like, nothing would have changed. I just would have been mentally prepared going in.
Yeah. So check that out. At some point in time, we will get the link to Emacs article in there. I tried bringing it up right now and failed. Ooh, there we go. Spotlight, hitters, and stacks. Copy link. All right, Jake, I got it now, so I beat you to it. There's the link to Emacs article. Hop in, check that out. Get Emacs takes, and play some at Yahoo. And then there's Jake dropping the link in there 10 seconds after me because he's on delay. Appreciate it, Jake. Appreciate it. Let's see. 14 games. You ready?
Yep.
Trying to catch up. I had 3 messages talking to Laffy about some NFL this morning. Got stoked the fire a little bit. Phillies.
Yeah, that whole time that whole time just now you were talking. I was talking to Laffy about football.
Yeah, that was everything that I did before this show started. Phillies and Braves. 4.5 run implied total for the Phils. 5.1 for the Braves. Zach Eflin versus Dallas Keuchel. Do we have ownership yet? We do. Awesome. Let me grab that quickly, and then we'll get started. But I'll just throw it to you right off the bat. I don't get the sense that we're going to be wanting either Eflin or Keuchel. Am I missing anything?
No, that seems about right to me. Not a great matchup for either guy. Neither one is a great strikeout pitcher. 14 games on the slate. It doesn't seem like something I need to do.
Yeah, don't get the sense that those guys are going to be picking up any ownership either. If they are, I don't understand it. So it's really that simple. All right, I've got all the ownership loaded now. Let's take a look. Surprise, surprise. These guys are completely unowned. So Dallas Keuchel 5% on Yahoo at $37. I don't need that either. So the less we say about the rest of these guys, the better. Braves offense looks pretty tasty to me. Not really getting all that much ownership outside of McCann and Acuna. We've got some value on Yahoo. $8 for McCann. Dansby Swanson, flat minimum shortstop, I think is a fantastic play. Matt Joyce for the 2 at-bats he probably gets for $2,500 on FanDuel is probably worth it. How do you feel about Atlanta?
Lefties in particular, I think, are where you want to target Eflin. So, I mean, I think guys like Donaldson and Acuna are fine just because they're so good. But priorities for me would be Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, Joyce, Brian McCann, all probably hitting in the top 6. So, yeah, I think it's pretty appealing because you probably get 4 lefties in the top 6. Eflin's allowed a 256 ISO to lefties with a 19.2% strikeout percentage. And then the righties that you have at the top are just really good hitters in Acuna and Donaldson.
We're on the same page here. Do you expect them to be like a primary stack of yours?
There's a game in Coors, so
probably not.
Probably not.
Okay. Yeah,
Glenn Parkman's pitching.
I like him more than I don't, unfortunately, but we'll get there. Any Phillies bats? I don't generally like targeting against Keuchel. He's not that kind of guy. I don't know, Rhys Hoskins.
Yeah, I think the pricing on Philly is pretty favorable. 4,100 for Hoskins, 4,500 for Real Muto, 3,900 for Segura all stand out.
Man, I thought you were gonna keep talking there. Try to take a couple. We're good. I already know we're good. I was just taking a drink. I figured I had a couple seconds.
I was gonna say I think like there's a chance that makes them a little bit overowned, but with it being a 14-game slate, I think it's more likely that you're just getting pretty decent value on those guys at reasonable ownership.
Favorite bat in the game?
Freeman.
Yeah. Agreed. If I thought McCann was any good, it might be McCann for 3,400, but
sure.
Just a little too old for me. Actually, I have no idea how old Brian McCann is. I assume he's old.
I want to say he's like 35.
That sounds. You could tell me that he's 30, and you can tell me that he's 38, and I'd believe it.
Yeah, no, it's the same for me. He is 35.
35.
I am good.
Yeah, I just assumed you had it already pulled up.
I actually didn't.
Would have been really ridiculous if you did have just Brian McCann's Fangraphs page open, though. Orioles and Dodgers. 4.1 run implied total for the O's. 5.4 for the Dodgers. My boy John Means on the bump for Baltimore. Ross Stripling starting it out for the Dodgers. Fangraphs has like May coming in as potentially like a long guy, but he's now just sort of in the bullpen. So I gave Stripling 3 innings, and I assume like this is just sort of a bullpen game.
Yeah, it seems like it's a weird. It's like a modified bullpen game where we get probably nothing useful out of it. Like Stripling, I don't expect to go deep enough that we're interested in him whatsoever as a DFS play.
Yeah.
But I expect it to be more than 1 inning. You know, he's gone 2, 3, 5, 5, 5, 4 and a third over his last 6. 36 pitches on the 4th his last time out. So, I think you could see like around 3 innings or something there. And then you get May doing nothing really useful either. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Can't imagine either one of us wants John Means against the Dodgers.
No.
8,600 on DraftKings. I think for $30 on Yahoo in a vacuum, that's not bad. I don't really want to take him against the Dodgers or anything, but at least he's appropriately priced there.
Really weird spot for DraftKings to decide to price him up.
Yeah, for real, right? Like it's almost as bad as it gets. I mean, I'm not sure that I would play John Means at 6,600 today, so 86 makes it pretty easy.
Yeah.
Let's talk Dodgers bats because I can't imagine we're fully away from them. They're not like a no-brainer to me like they were yesterday. Pitching is a little bit different here, obviously. Jed Jerko, 3,100. If he's in the lineup, I have a hard time not wanting to use him as part of a Dodger stack. Just a really good point per dollar play. Looks like a nice cash play across the board. Flat minimum on Yahoo and FanDuel. Give me your Dodgers thoughts just in general.
Obviously, a high upside spot. Means isn't bad, but he's not a shutdown pitcher either. The Dodgers are really, really good. They are in Camden Yards, where it looks like it's supposed to be about 80 degrees. The bullpen's not any good for the Orioles. So I don't think that they're like the highest probability stack, but I think that there is a pretty good chance that with a 5.5 implied run total, they go a little bit overlooked on this slate, and they're obviously a really good team.
Dave Freese, 2,700 on FanDuel. Sure. Turner and Pollock both look pretty good at the top. I'll have them. I just won't have them in the same volume as I did yesterday. Repeat 266 asking a question that we've been kind of getting a lot in Slack, and I think you and I are going to be on the same page. Any changes or on approach to playing a team after they are locked into the playoffs, since maybe they will start resting more players? I don't think that there's anything you can do to really factor it in.
That's where I'm at. I mean, if you're talking like last game of the season type stuff, then you can kind of do it. But from this point until then, you're kind of just stuck at the whim of every individual manager and what they want to do with their bench and how the game is going and all that. It's like, does it change? Absolutely. Do I have any idea what the best approach is to counteract that? And do I think that whatever changes you could make are better than just doing the status quo? Probably not.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what I would do to quantify any of this and what I could do to like really move it forward. I mentioned yesterday on Live Before Lock, or maybe it was the strategy show, I don't even remember now. I would probably, like, if I saw my exposures, I would pay closer attention to teams that are still fighting for something, particularly if they're playing another team that is also still fighting for something. You're more likely to see crazy extremes for teams that are fully out of it.
Yeah. The most plausible thing that I thought of, and I saw someone else mention it in Slack yesterday, was maybe experimenting with more designed game stacks. Because this time of the year with so many guys on the bench, what you see happen a lot is when it's 8-0 in the 7th inning, it becomes the AAA team and they just pinch hit all the way through the lineup. And so the idea, the thinking there would obviously be that if the other team is also going off, like if you get like a 10-8 game, they're not pulling guys out. But I'm still just not sure that outweighs the negative of suddenly all of your Dodger stacks are with Orioles.
Right. Yeah, I don't. And I think this would be a bad example if for both teams. if we found that sort of, I would game stack a game where both teams had something to play for.
Or high implied run totals.
Sure. Yeah, like Rockies Cardinals.
Yeah.
If you could game stack something like that. But ultimately, I'm not changing a single thing about what I'm doing. I don't think that it's, I wouldn't even know where to start.
Right.
I definitely don't want to try to find out either.
like every solution that I can think of has way more negatives than expected positives.
Yeah. And even if you are right, you could just be wrong for 3 weeks.
Right.
And never know. And forget that we did all of that until September of 2020. Any Orioles bats standing out to you? They don't look particularly good today.
No. Okay. I mean, it's just you're facing good pitchers, and then you're facing different good pitchers, and it's just not an appealing spot.
I'm good here. Blue Jays and Red Sox, 4.6 run implied total for the Jays, 5.5 for the Red Sox. Trent Thornton and Bobby Poyner. I don't know who that is. But we got to talk about him because Bobby Poyner is the flat minimum on DraftKings, and he's got 13% ownership. I gave him 2 innings. I think he's a bullpen guy. I don't really know why he's getting owned.
I am trying to find that out now.
Yeah. I don't understand. I assume that ownership goes away.
He made 43 appearances at AAA this year. One of them was a start. He's thrown 6 innings with the Red Sox in 5 games. Can't imagine he's getting a start here, like a legitimate start.
Every inning that he's thrown in AAA since June 30th, he hasn't gone deeper than 3 innings. It's the only time he faced more than 10 batters. He's been up with Boston for a week or 2. He made an appearance on the 6th and the 7th. Both were 1 inning. So, 1, I can't see any scenario where he actually does get ownership. 2, I hope that he does. 3, I will not be playing Bobby Poyner today.
I agree with all of those.
Yes. I can't imagine that I'm going to be getting to Trent Thornton at all. $26 on Yahoo is certainly his best price, but I'm good on targeting Boston.
Yeah, I just don't really like taking guys against the Red Sox. I don't really like taking guys against the Red Sox in what's been the best home run park all season long. I don't generally love taking Trent Thornton, so
yeah,
not really difficult to convince me here.
Nope, not at all. Let's talk Red Sox lineup we could be talking about either one of these teams. Boston, clearly the more appealing team, mid-5s implied total. JD Martinez had a price drop since yesterday. Fantastic. 4,700 for JD now. That's great. No Mookie. Xander at 4,800. Most expensive guy in the Red Sox lineup, Devers at 51. Sam Travis is 2,800. No matter what you think of him, that's a decent point per dollar value. Probably a cash play if you want him. Brock Holt is 3,200. They've got 4 guys in the sub 4K range. Mitch Moreland at 4,100. What do you want to do with Boston?
Yeah, I like Boston a lot here. Thornton he's decent. Like he's certainly capable of having good games. He's been better against righties than lefties. About a 21% strikeout percentage to both sides, but he's held righties to a 336 WOBA, 158 ISO compared to 359 WOBA and 236 ISO to lefties. So I think Devers is my favorite play from Boston, but Benintendi most likely leading off for cheap is good. JD is obviously underpriced. Like the entire team, like you said, is underpriced. So like Devers is the one that I absolutely love here, but the rest of the stack's really good too.
Favorite Red Sox bat, including price?
Still Devers.
Is it Devers? Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably Benintendi for me if he's leading off.
He just does nothing that helps you in DFS. He doesn't hit home runs and he doesn't steal bases.
Yeah. 4K.
Like, I'm not even saying I disagree. I mean, I think the price tag's really good, but I just kind of I hadn't really noticed it because, like, I know he's a good overall player, and it wasn't until someone that I follow that does season long tweeted out that like he has the lowest combination of steals plus home runs of like anyone with as many at bats as him, except for one other hitter.
Wow. Yeah, that's I guess probably like a great team player, not a great fantasy player.
Yeah, and puts the ball in play, has productive at bats, doesn't rack up fantasy points.
Yeah. Probably great for Boston. He'll probably stay cheap.
Yeah.
I could use that kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's also having a worse year this year than last year. Like he has a 107 WRC plus this year, 122 last year. But 13 home runs, 10 stolen bases, 572 plate appearances.
How many doubles?
That's what I was going to look at next. 39 doubles. So that's last year he finished with 41.
Okay. Yeah. Look, not everybody can just pound it into the seats. Also makes me not want to roster him when he hits anything other than first.
Right.
Blue Jays bats against old Bobby P. I see a lot of value here. Everyone on DraftKings under 4K except for Bichette and Biggio, and considering they are hitting first and second, I don't mind it so much, but $3,500 Tellez, $3,900 Vlad, $3,700 Grichuk, $3,600 Teoscar. These guys have fantastic pricing on FanDuel as well. A little bit priced up on Yahoo outside of Tellez. I kind of like the Blue Jays here.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out. So it looks like the guy coming in after him is Mike Sharwarin. I don't know.
They just called him up not too long ago, right?
Yeah, I think so. He's thrown like 12 innings.
Yeah.
AAA this year, 14 starts, 26 total appearances, 19.8% strikeout percentage, 1.3 home runs per 9. So he doesn't look like someone that's going to come in and we're going to be scared of either. I assume that guys like Bichette and Guerrero were just lighting up pitchers like that all season at AAA. So, I do think that both sides of this game are really appealing. Like this is the kind of game where if there were like an easy way to do it, I wouldn't mind just like having game stacks here, but then like not game stacking like the Dodgers with the Orioles.
Yeah, I'm with you there because you wouldn't expect the Blue Jays to be pinch hitting for Vlad or Biggio or Bichette. Those are the guys you want to get those at bats.
Right.
So, you might not see Justin Smoke finish out the game, but the top of this lineup are guys that the Blue Jays want to have for the long term. So at bats are clutch.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, home game, team playing for nothing would be pretty annoying to the people buying tickets if you're just going to spend all of September being like, okay, that's your 2 at bats, Guerrero, like go to the bench.
Yeah, they're going to let the 3 legacies run out there, especially in a home game. Look, these guys are cheap. I think they're a really nice value option as like a mini stack. I'm in.
Yep.
Mets and Diamondbacks. 50-50 game, 4.2 run implied total on both sides. Steven Matz and Robbie Ray. We're going to have a lot to talk about on this one. You want to start with Matz or Ray?
Neither.
Okay. Robbie Ray is $42 on Yahoo, $9K on FanDuel, $11,000 on DK. His ownership goes in that same order: 24% on Yahoo, which it should be, 10% on FanDuel, 5% on DK. I don't have much interest in Robbie Ray at all at $11,000. I like him a decent amount on FanDuel at 9K, however. What about you?
Yeah, no, I think that the 9K and the 42 are fine. 11K on DraftKings. I have a really, really hard time paying all the way up for Ray because he's a really good strikeout pitcher. He's a good but not great pitcher as far as preventing runs. He walks 11% of hitters. So you're dealing with a lot of quickly elevated pitch counts when you're striking guys out and walking guys at the rates that he does. He gives up home runs too. It's not a great matchup against the Mets. I just have a really, really hard time paying a high price tag for him. But when he's mid-range, then suddenly you're getting a guy with a 31% strikeout rate where the salary is factoring in his negatives.
He is $1,200 behind Sonny Gray on FanDuel, $1,500 behind Strasburg. He's the 3rd highest pitcher on FanDuel, but he's $9 back of Strasburg and $10 than Gray. So I like those ranges, but I'm not paying all the way up for 11K. That's lunacy. Steven Matz, 11% owned on Yahoo, 7 on FanDuel, 14 on DraftKings, where he's 8,500. I don't really want to get to Matz here. I think that he ends up grading out well on paper, but I don't like the matchup for him.
Yeah, it's not a great strikeout matchup. There's just not really guys in the Arizona lineup that strike out. They have a lot of right-handed power. Their projected lineup is entirely right-handed with the exception of Robbie Ray. Matz is a decent pitcher, but he's not anything special. He has a 22.1% strikeout percentage, 4.43 SIERA this year. He's allowed 1.5 home runs per 9. He's not good at holding runners. I would rather be getting to like Ketel Marte, Escobar, Walker, Flores, the entire. The Diamondbacks only have a 4.2 implied run total, but I think it's a actually pretty decent spot for him.
Diamondbacks this season, active roster, 1,400 plate appearances, 13 and change. 122 weighted runs created plus, a 228 ISO, and a 19% strikeout rate, all against lefties. So they don't strike out, and they have been smashing dudes. And it's not like Steven Matz keeps the ball in the park.
Right. Like his two weaknesses don't really play very well here against a right-handed heavy team that doesn't strike out and has some speed.
Yeah. 206 x ISO to lefties this season, 180 to righties. If I add in 2018, the lefty number drops dramatically, but it's still 174 for righties, and he's about to see a sea of them. So I like the idea of getting to the Diamondbacks. What do you think is keeping this total down?
I really don't know. So here's Diamondbacks numbers against left-handed pitching since last year. Carson Kelly, 105 plate appearances, 167 WRC plus, 292 ISO. Ketel Marte, 381 plate appearances, 277 ISO, 153 WRC plus. Ahmed and Escobar both over 300, both between 3 and 400. Ahmed has a 235 ISO, 121 WRC plus. Escobar 206 and 119. Christian Walker, 187 plate appearances, 207 ISO, 102 WRC plus. Flores, 181 ISO, 103 WRC plus. I don't know. I think it's it'll be hard to get to a team with a 4.2 implied run total on a 14-game slate, but I think they have a lot more upside than that suggests.
I could not agree more.
It's like 85 degrees in New York.
I truly don't understand it. Maybe we'll see the run total jump.
Yeah.
Should we bet on this? Maybe.
I mean, I would if I could bet sports.
You can bet sports. Why are we acting like you can't?
Because even the illegal sports betting sites block Maryland.
Why are we acting like you can't pretend to be somewhere else?
Yeah. Well.
Come on now. Not that I recommend any of these nefarious means. However, I don't know, go find a bookie, man. Go talk to my mom. That's what she tells everybody that I do.
I actually just had that conversation at an uncle's birthday on Saturday.
Really?
Yeah. Well, not. I didn't have the conversation because I was in the basement working on football stuff and being completely antisocial. But so my mom was like family was asking her what exactly I do and like what I'm working on, and like half of them are under the impression that I'm a bookie, and she's like trying to like explain what I do without really knowing what I do. Or it's always fun.
That's fantastic. Yes, Mom. I'm a bookie. You got me. Bookie that gets an actual paycheck. a lot of bookies pay taxes. This game is really weird, and the run total is causing the Diamondbacks to like not grade out very well.
Right.
Christian Walker for 3,900, probably the best play that I see. I want to force in Arizona somehow, and I hope that. I mean, they're completely unowned. This whole game is completely unowned. I'd like to get to like 5 to 6% of Arizona just because it feels right. Any Mets for you?
Alonso, obviously. Ramos, I think, is an okay catcher option. Ray does give up power, like we said. So I think that you would want to look. Ideally, you would find like against a pitcher like Ray that has a high strikeout percentage, but also gives up a lot of power. Ideally, you would find someone with a low strikeout percentage and power. Wilson Ramos, 15.6% strikeout percentage, 217 ISO. So, that would qualify. Alonso, 32% strikeout percentage, 366 ISO. Like, I'll just take Alonso anyway. So I think it's Alonso and Ramos that really look the best to me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on Alonso. I don't get the sense that I'm going to have much Mets.
Yeah. Rosario, too, if he's leading off. 21.5% strikeout percentage, 117 WRC plus, 175 ISO.
Jake says we should go with sports data analyst.
What'd you say?
Jake says we should go with sports data analyst.
Yeah, I usually try and use something like that if like a girl asks me what I do.
He also went with degenerate gambler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different coat of paint. Marlins and Brewers. 3.9 run implied total for the Marlins, 4.7 for the Brewers. Pablo Lopez versus Zach Davies. Lopez getting ownership, 18% on Yahoo, 10 on FanDuel, 16 on DK, where he's 8,400. Zach Davies, 4, 1, and 11, respectively, across the three sites. Do you have interest in Pablo Lopez? 16% feels a little high here.
I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but no Christian Yelich in the lineup certainly waters that down a lot. Mike Moustakas may or may not be back. Like, there's a chance you get a really bad Brewers lineup here, and I think that Lopez is a pretty good pitcher. 22% strikeout percentage, 4.19 Sierra. You know, he's not great, but he's in a good park and possibly facing a really watered down team.
I like him, but 8,600 is just, or 8,400 rather, is just really difficult. But everybody around him is also really unappealing, so I don't really know what to make of that. 8,800, Plutko, John Means, Matz, Marco Gonzalez, Dakota Hudson, Logan Webb. Like, it's not like he has to beat out a lot of interesting people in that range, but I don't know. 16% just feels like too much against the Brewers. Although this is not like a loaded Brewers lineup, particularly no Yelich.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Like, Moustakas has been out too. He might be back today. He might not. Yelich makes such a big difference there. Like, and if Moustakas is out too, you know, it's the Brewers. But if the Brewers' good hitters are Yasmani Grandal and that's it, it's not the same team.
Yeah, I'm with you. It'll be nice. Seeing their lineup will be important. He's Pablo Lopez's price for his ceiling, and that's sort of just the problem with all of it.
Yeah, I agree with
that. Zach Davies, 6,700 against the Marlins in Miami.
The only rule that I have that sometimes outweighs rostering pitchers blindly against the Marlins is if you go to the probable pitchers page on Fangraphs and you have to move to page 2 when you sort by strikeout percentage to find the pitcher you're talking about, you can make an exception to rostering guys against Miami. And that's the case with Davies.
Who do you prefer, Zach Davies or Pablo Lopez?
Lopez.
I love the confidence.
Well, I mean, it's a pitcher against the Marlins, but the guy strikes out 15% of hitters.
Yeah. Who do you think you're more likely to get? I think that's probably two separate questions.
Yeah, probably Lopez.
Okay. I think I'm more likely to get Davies.
I think I'm more likely to just take a chance on an even cheaper pitcher than Davies. I don't know who that would be, but there's got to be something.
Any Brewers bats standing out to you?
Grisham, if he's in the lineup, is cheap. Grandal is a good play, I think. Travis Shaw is still basically minimum priced.
Yeah, Shaw, I don't know. Shaw's broken, I guess.
Is he?
Isn't he?
I don't think so.
Oh. Then why the hell is he still 2,300?
I mean, his major league numbers this year are terrible, but his minor league numbers, like once he was demoted, are really, really good. And I think he figured out whatever it is. And, you know, obviously, yes, he was in the minor leagues, but when you see a 20.7% walk percentage and a 21.3% strikeout percentage, that's normally not just a product of going from the majors to AAA. Also 301 ISO.
I don't get the sense that I'm going to have much of anything here outside of Isan Diaz and actually Shaw being solid values. Trent Grisham, flat minimum on Yahoo, that stands out. Low Kane, flat minimum on Yahoo, that stands out. Shaw, Hernan Perez, both flat minimum on Yahoo. Yahoo seems to be the place to grab any of these guys, but I'm not looking for offense here. I don't have anything else. Twins and Nats. 4.7 run implied total for the Twins, 5.3 for the Nats. Martin Perez and Steven Strasburg. No ownership at all going to Perez. Can't imagine either one of us are looking at him. 31% going to Strasburg at $51 on Yahoo, 18 on FanDuel, 19 on DraftKings. You paying up for Strasburg here? Because I'm not.
I don't plan on it. Minnesota's a really tough matchup. Strasburg's obviously a good pitcher, but there's bats that I want on this slate. I don't feel like I need to pay 11-4 for Strasburg against a team that doesn't strike out and has as much power as anyone in baseball.
Yeah.
Especially if he's getting ownership.
Yeah, I don't. Travis Shaw, 1 for 21 since the beginning of September.
That's not useful.
No, but I mean, it's still just brutal in the majors.
Yeah.
Somebody just posted that in the. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't change anything for me. That's certainly why he's still 2,300.
Right. But yeah, like if I look at his numbers once he was sent to AAA, and then you tell me that he was 1 for 21 in September, I still am going by what I think he does based on his AAA numbers.
Oh, yeah, it changes nothing for me.
Right.
The very good explanation of why he's priced at 2,300, however, because that sucks. Yeah, I can't recommend paying up here for Strasburg. Too expensive, too many just better options, in my opinion. Even my highest raw point scorer. No, he's not. So, yeah, I'm good on Strasburg.
I agree.
Any offense in this game that is appealing? Eddie Rosario for 3,900. Ryan Zimmerman for 3,900. Dozier for 34. A couple of these guys are cheap on FanDuel. 5.3 run implied total for the Nats is kind of interesting, but they're already priced up. This doesn't feel like a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always interested in the Nats. One negative, though, is that it is like in the low 60s in Minnesota. They're always just an appealing tournament stack to me because they go overlooked so often, but they have so many good hitters that have high upside. You know, Turner has some power and obviously steals bases. Rendon, Soto, Kendrick, all really, really good hitters. Zimmerman has power. Suzuki's a good power hitting catcher. You know, even Dozier and Robles at the bottom of the lineup have power. So I like getting to them in tournaments. It's just that there are a lot of other good spots that aren't hitting in 60-degree weather in Minnesota.
No one on DraftKings north of 5% ownership. No one in this game over 10 anywhere. I'm just more likely to not. Wow, that's go ahead and get rid of that guy in chat. Whew, that one's got some heat on it. Hide user on this channel. Yeah. Anyway, favorite bat in the entire game.
Rosario at 3,900 on DraftKings.
Yep, same page. $9 on Yahoo too. All right, we are through the 7 o'clock games. Perfect time for everybody to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Later today, deeper dive. Adam will be back with Laffy and the boss man, Alex Baker, at 4:45, probably 4:50 or 4:55, given the way that we normally start. Live before lock tonight, Chris Baggs and Jake Hari going from 6 to 7. And then today, actually, when I'm saying this, it's true now. PGA live before lock for the military tribute at the Greenbrier. I think I've got that right. 9 p.m. tonight, Ben Rasa, Jason Roslin, talking golf. Back to the normal time for the swing season, so tune in for that. Let's keep it moving. Rangers and Rays, 4.2 run implied total for the Rangers, 5.3 for the Rays. Ariel Jurado, Austin Pruitt. Don't get the sense that either guy is going to go deep enough into this game that you're trying to roster them, particularly when Jurado is 6K. He's the flat minimum on Yahoo, so if you need to get weird, that's fine. But there's a better flat minimum pitcher today. So, you looking for any pitching?
No, not really. Terrible park for pitching, 92 degrees, which starts to play a bigger factor this time of year when other stadiums are getting cooler. Like we just said, 62 in Minnesota. You're starting to get a bigger difference between hitting in Texas and hitting in some other parks. Jurado doesn't get strikeouts. Tampa Bay has some power and some pretty affordable bats. Yeah, I don't see pitching here.
Okay. Offense. I don't really like the Rangers. They don't seem to be grading out all that well. For the Rays, I mean, I've got some interest in G-Man Choi, Austin Meadows. They're kind of expensive. Are you looking to offense?
Tampa has almost a 6 implied run total. G-Man Choi is pretty cheap. d'Arnaud is reasonably priced. Meadows and Pham, I don't even mind paying those prices. I think that bats in this game are good, especially if a lot of ownership is going to be directed to cores.
There's some ownership in this game for the Rays. First four guys, 12, 15, 11, and 14. Now, that's not anything that's changing the way that you're playing, but that's a pretty sizable amount of ownership, especially for... It's a lot for Sogard. Definitely like that Pham, Meadows, Choi group, though. I won't have a lot of this. Rangers bats, does anybody stand out to you? I think they look real rough.
I mean, they're just a pretty rough offense. I think Willie Calhoun's probably the most appealing play.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Nick Solak, dual eligibility, 4,100, maybe? I don't know. I'm good. I just don't have any interest. Favorite bat in the game?
Meadows?
Okay. Give me Choi. Astros and A's. 4.8 run implied total for the Astros. I assume Oakland scores 21 again. 4.2 today, however. Jose Urquidy going for the Stros. Brett Anderson going for Oakland. Urquidy, 8% owned on Yahoo, which I think is interesting. He is the flat minimum there. No ownership on FanDuel. 15% on DraftKings, where he's 7K. No ownership at all coming into Brett Anderson. Let's talk about Urquidy.
Really tough spot against Oakland, but it's really interesting to me because you said Yahoo, he was minimum, right?
He is.
Yeah, I mean, there's all upside and no real downside there. So
Right.
If you need to go cheap, that's a really good spot to go to. Even on DraftKings at 7K, when you look at the pitchers below him, and it's Zach Davies with a 15% strikeout percentage. It's Ariel Llorado with a 15% strikeout percentage. It's Brett Anderson with an even lower strikeout percentage than that. Yeah, it's a tough matchup, but Urquidy has, good strikeout stuff, and I think he's even kind of interesting on DraftKings.
Yeah. I don't mind it. 7K feels pricey.
Yeah, it's not a great... DraftKings did a really good job on that salary.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that it's not one I look at and I'm just like, oh yeah, definitely getting to a lot of Urquidy. It's just, it makes it really interesting because the matchup is much worse than Davies, but Urquidy just has so much more strikeout upside than Davies does.
I think the most interesting piece of all of this, and it's sort of hiking back to the Diamondbacks game, A's have a 4.2 run implied total. That's lower than I would have expected.
Yeah.
Given their success this season in these spots. I like Urquidy. He has not been great as like a pitcher in the majors so far. So to pay the full freight at 7K, I don't hate it, but I don't get the sense that I'll have a lot. I'm more likely to just save more money.
Are we really going to end up on Glenn Sparkman on DraftKings?
Yeah.
I just keep scrolling through the pictures and just starting over and doing it again and ending up on the same thing.
Yeah, don't worry. You're going to end up there.
Yeah.
There's no way we're rostering Brett Anderson here. So Houston bats are super expensive. They don't have the best implied total. They didn't get a lot of ownership last night either. What do we do with these guys?
Stack them up.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of the highest upside stacks every time they're on the field. They have so much power in their lineup. Now they're facing a pitcher in Brett Anderson who does not miss any bats. This park, while it's not an overall favorable park for hitters, it does play up right-handed power. Anderson's allowed a 209 expected ISO to righties this year, 373 expected WOBA. I put a little bit more stock in those numbers too. When you're talking about a pitcher like Anderson that pitches his home games in Oakland, it makes sense for there to be a pretty large gap between the numbers he's actually allowed and the numbers that he would be expected to allow. And then when he goes into a park like this where pulled fly balls are home runs, I think that you could see it kind of level off pretty quickly. So again, there's a lot of really good hitting spots. I don't want to say at this point that Houston's my favorite or anything like that, but I do think that they are one of the best stacks.
I'm with you. Unrivaled upside, really. Price is kind of not fun, especially on a day with a Coors game, but they're going to go under-owned. So it's really just how much do you want to have? You kind of have to just pick them on purpose. And I don't see any reason to not want to do that.
Yeah.
But they're not going to come up
home runs per 9 on the road to righties this season. Actually, he's given up 1.23 overall, so not even a big gap there. I was actually trying to see against right-handed hitters this year, 39.8% pull percentage, 50% ground ball percentage. Yeah, I mean it's not like a Marco Gonzalez spot where he just sets up as like Houston's the worst park ever for him to pitch in, but you're still talking about someone that just doesn't strike anyone out facing a bunch of really good power hitters.
Any A's bats against Urquidy?
Um,
Is this the portion of the show where we mentioned that we'll probably have some Chris Davis again?
yeah, I'll say Chris Davis. Matt Olson's really expensive, but Chris Davis is still cheap.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's probably it for me. Favorite Astros bat?
Bregman.
No worries there. I am too bright on this screen. Let me knock that down a little bit. There we go. Look like a more normal person. All right, keeping it moving. Here we go. Let's just get it out of the way now. White Sox and Royals. 5.5 run implied total for the White Sox. 4.5 for the Royals. 60% chance to win for Chicago. Ronaldo Lopez going for the Sox. Getting a lot of ownership on Yahoo. Okay, that makes more sense. Glenn Sparkman going for the Royals. Let's start with Lopez. 22% owned on Yahoo. He's $38 there. I think that's reasonable. 8,600 on FanDuel, 10% owned. 9,800 on DraftKings, 10% owned. Are you playing Ronaldo Lopez? That I don't want to do that at 9,800.
9,800 doesn't seem like something I'm gonna do.
No.
I understand he has strikeout upside. I understand he has good stuff. I also don't want to start treating him like he's something that he's not. He's kind of shown who he is for the last couple of years. Like, yes, he can improve, but the strikeout stuff's good, especially against right-handed hitters. Still, I expect him to be inconsistent. At this point, you're just paying for his ceiling.
Yeah, can't do it for 9,800. That is craziness. 38 on Yahoo, I think, is reasonable.
I agree with that.
Especially on a slate where only Gray and Strasburg are north of 50. Like, you can pretty much have whatever you want on Yahoo from a pitching perspective. Let's do it. 0% owned on Yahoo at the flat minimum. 0% owned on FanDuel at 5,900. 16% owned at 4,400. Here's the pay down option of the day. Come on down, Glenn Sparkman. Talk me into it or out of it.
He's so freaking bad. So bad. But like, all the other options towards the bottom are not really better pitchers, and they're more expensive or in more spots. God, I don't want to do this.
No,
but I know I'm going to.
Yeah, that's the White Sox for you. If he's 16% owned, I'm gonna have a hair over that. It's gonna be gross. It's gonna be so gross. Although we will probably have to redistribute that 13% ownership from Bobby Pointer.
Yeah. Here's the reason why I think Sparkman is a good play. It doesn't even have to do with the White Sox, because the White Sox have actually a pretty good amount of power in their lineup. It really just has to do with Dario Agrizal is just awful. He's pitching in San Francisco, so I mean I think that's a spot you could pivot, but even he on DraftKings is $900 more. Dylan, like, it just gets so hard to make even an argument for why Dylan Peters is a better play for $1,200 more against Cleveland than Sparkman, or Brett Anderson against the Astros, or Yorado in Texas, or Davies. Now you're talking about $2,500. It's not even the same price point. So that's why I think he's a good play. It has nothing at all to do with him or really even who he's facing.
Yeah, it's impossible to be like, I'm going to play Glenn Sparkman today because of Glenn Sparkman's talent.
Right.
His ability to pitch is essentially irrelevant in this scenario, which is crazy to think about.
As far as the bats that his salary lets you get into your lineup, your options are him, Senzatella in Coors, or two openers in Kittredge and Pointer.
Yeah. He wins by default.
Right.
So, congrats to you, Glenn Sparkman. You get to ruin most of my shit tonight.
Yep. He did throw like a complete game against the White Sox, I think, this year.
Oh, well, maybe I'll run it back again. Yeah, somebody just said, look at that July 16th stat line for him.
9 innings, 14 ground balls, 8 strikeouts.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that he doesn't do that again.
Yeah, I'll be happy if his final line doesn't start with a negative.
Yeah. For real. If I told you that he pitched 4 innings, would that make you would you think of that positively or negatively?
I'm really not sure.
Toes the line, right?
Yeah.
I would just assume that he got bombed in the 4th.
Yeah, that would be my guess. And he didn't get enough strikeouts before then to make up for it.
Perfect. Okay. Keep it moving. We still got to talk about hitting in this game, obviously. White Sox bats look to be a really nice value. Royals bats look to be a decent value. I kind of want to have a little bit of both sides if these pitchers are both going to get into double digits in ownership.
Yeah, I don't want to go there, but I just don't see. It's so hard right now for me to find a way around it. Talking about Sparkman still. Yeah, I mean, I think it is a good spot for the White Sox, obviously, because Sparkman isn't any good, and their lineup is decent. Anderson, Abreu, Moncada, whoever's catching, and Jimenez are all decent in the middle of the order. On the other side, you prefer left-handed bats against Lopez. Unfortunately, Dozier, Soler, and Merrifield are all righties, so it makes Kansas City a little bit less appealing. I think Mondesi's a pretty interesting option. I can't remember. I'm looking now. I can't remember if Lopez is good at controlling the running game or not.
You would know that more than me, so you'll get to that answer long before I do.
He's allowed 11 stolen bases in 162 innings this year, 14 in 188 last year. So throughout his career, he's graded out as basically average, maybe a little bit below.
Okay. God, I'm going to have too much of this game on every single side of it. Hitting on both sides, pitching on both sides. Well, no, I won't have Ronaldo Lopez. Fuck that. Who is the best hitter in this game?
Moncada?
From a DFS perspective, just in case I'm not being clear here.
Yeah. Moncada.
Okay.
I would say like Moncada or Jimenez.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean Sparkman's allowed a 274 ISO to lefties.
Okay. I was gonna say Wellington Castillo for 3,400, but probably trying to get too cute there. I like the value on this game.
I really hope I find a way to get away. So it's just so hard because I don't even love the mid-range pitching on this slate. Like, there's not really much pitching at all that I love on this slate. And then there are so many expensive stacks where it's just like, okay, so I'm gonna pay more money for a pitcher that I still don't really like, and then also not get the bats that I want.
Oh God, who do you think you have outside? Who do you think you have more of, the White Sox or the Royals?
The White Sox.
Okay, I agree. God, that's gonna be gross. 16% ownership on Sparkman right now. Do you think that goes up or down?
Up.
Agreed.
Just because of what I'm like thinking out loud right now, where it's just like I'm like trying to just like build lineups in my head and like figure out roster construction, and it all comes back to either feel really, really bad about the $4,400 pitcher you're playing, or feel pretty bad about the $8,000 pitcher you're playing.
Yeah. Ugh. Keep it moving. Off to Coors. 6.1 run implied total for the Rockies, 7.3 for the Cards, 59% chance to win for St. Louis. Antonio Senzatella and Dakota Hudson. We're not playing either pitcher, correct?
I'm not planning on it, no.
Okay. I mean, we're definitely not playing Dakota Hudson at 8,200. That
right.
one's easy.
The argument that you could make is that if Sparkman were to start getting like 25 or 30% ownership or something, the range of outcomes for Senzatella is really not any different than Sparkman's.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely not Dakota Hudson. You can talk yourself into shares of Senzatella on DraftKings. I'm going to throw it to you if you want to go to Rockies or Cards. I need to put a little bit of water in this cup, so floor is yours. I'm so thirsty right now, and it's completely empty. Rockies and Cards, go for it.
Yeah, so I mean, basically the same thing that we had last night. The Cardinals have a 7.4 implied run total. Rockies are at 6.2. Pretty decent, or moderately decent pitcher in Dakota Hudson. Does a decent job of limiting power, especially against right-handed hitters. Has had trouble with lefties. 193 ISO to lefties, 121 to righties, 16.9% strikeout percentage to lefties, 18.2 to righties. So I think that you're most interested in left-handed bats, which from the Rockies you're getting Blackmon, Murphy, McMahon, Tapia, Hilliard, probably Nunez, and they're all actually really, really cheap on DraftKings too. Even Blackman's only 5,100. So I think a really, really good value stack here with the Rockies. Probably some good cash game plays from this lineup. Maybe some maybe elevated ownership because they're so easy to get to, but I think it's a pretty good spot if they're not getting crazy ownership.
Who's the good spot?
The Rockies at their DraftKings price tags. Charlie Blackmon, well, Story's the most expensive at 5,200. Blackman's 5,100. Arenado's 5K, and then the next most expensive hitter is Murphy at 4,400.
Yeah, I prefer the Rockies tonight. I think
This whole game's really cheap.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not priced like a Coors game.
Yeah.
Rockies getting a lot more ownership than, or Cardinals getting a lot more ownership than the Rockies in the aggregate, 14-12, which is kind of massive given this game and the fact that the Cardinals are doing that with basically just 7 bats, since Tommy Edman is 5,400 and getting no ownership because he's projected to hit 7th. I can't, just like yesterday, I can't get away from it. I'm going to have a lot of this game one way or the other. Whether or not I'm going like massively over the field is a different story, but I can't see a scenario where these two teams are not at the top of my, or at least near the top of my exposure list.
Yep, I agree.
Favorite Rockies bat?
Blackmon.
Favorite Cardinals bat?
Ozuna?
Yeah, same. Same on both counts.
Yeah, I think it's Ozuna.
Dude, the bottom of that rock. It's no wonder the Rockies don't score when they're in Coors. When you're closing out with Tapia, Hilliard, Dom Nunez, pitcher, probably gonna have a lot of bagels.
Yeah, I don't know though. Like those guys at least do still have some upside. Hilliard has power and speed. Tapia's okay. McMahon has some power.
Oh, I agree, but like they're kind of like
they're below
one specific outcome where
right.
It's going to be a lot of zeros and a lot of like 24s, but not a lot of like 10.
Right.
Yeah, highly variant for the Rockies, whereas the Cardinals lineup, pretty balanced from top to bottom. Very different quality lineup on both sides. Yeah, we're not telling you guys anything new. Play bats and cores. We are about to get into a real interesting stretch of shit offense. Giants and Pirates. 4-run implied total on both sides. Coin flip game. Logan Webb and Dario Agrizal. Logan Webb getting like 6 to 10% ownership across the board. Agrizal at 7% on DraftKings. I mean, I have no interest whatsoever in Logan Webb at 8K. I have mild interest at 6,300 on FanDuel and $28 on Yahoo. I have no interest in Dario Agrizal on DraftKings at 5,300, but unfortunately, I'm going to have some. I personally don't want this.
Yeah,
but
that's how I would put it too. It's Glenn Sparkman, except he's in San Francisco for a little bit more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Webb, I have a really difficult time getting to because even though the park is great and he has decent numbers coming up from AAA, the Pirates are just a really brutal matchup when you're not getting a discount on him. Agrizal, though, not any good at all, but pitching in the most favorable pitcher's park in baseball, a little bit more expensive than Sparkman, but again, his range of outcomes is just very, very comparable. So in lineups where, like, I haven't projected for more points right now by a little bit than Sparkman. So I think in lineups where I can afford him, I'll get Agrizal, but it's not like it's going to take much for me to just prefer the cheaper option.
So 7% ownership for Agrizal, 16 for Sparkman. Let's say that Sparkman ends at 20. We got to redistribute that pointer, I would imagine. Dylan Peters at 18 as well. Who would we really want the most out of those three guys?
My guess is that if that's the case, I would end up coming in around, like, I'd probably be most over the field on Agrizal, but I would have like the most exposure to Sparkman.
Agreed.
With like Peters in the middle.
Agreed. I don't get the sense that either one of us are going to be talking about bats here.
No, not generally a park where I'm looking to take bats.
Not generally a team where I'm looking to take bats either.
Yeah, I mean 4.9 implied run total for San Francisco in San Francisco is pretty high. Agrizol's pretty bad.
Ooh, pause. I have 4-4 in this game. Do we have a different total?
4.9 for the Giants, 4.2 for the Pirates.
That jumped it. Okay. So that was 8 when I started the day. It is now 9, but dropping. So let me change that out quick. That's a really weird total then.
Yeah. So
I can update this on the fly really quickly now, so it's not bad. I've got 4.5 on both sides.
The Giants are really cheap, so you could like get good pitching with them. The problem is just where exactly are you going for good pitching on this slate? And you're obviously sacrificing a lot with your bats.
Yeah. Now that I've made that change, 4.8 and 4.1 Giants and Pirates. Giants are not the worst value then. Posey, Jalen Davis, Belt, but at the same time, there's plenty of value out there. I don't need bats here.
Yep.
I don't want any Pirates bats either. I just don't want offense in this spot. Angels and Indians. 4.6 run implied total for the Angels, 4.9 for the Indians. Dylan Peters, Adam Plutko. Peters is going to be the guy that we need to talk about. No one's owning Plutko, and I can't imagine that we're going to be talking about him. $26 for Peters on Yahoo, $5,600 on DraftKings, 18% ownership on DK. I think this is a really bad spot for Dylan Peters. I would prefer to remove him from my player pool than to use him. What do you think you do with Peters?
It's just another price play. Yeah. He's 5,600 on DraftKings. I think the optimal roster construction is going to be mixing in these cheap pitchers and just hoping that one of them gets you like 12 to 15 points and that your bats go off. I just don't really see a viable way around that because on DraftKings they did such a good job on their pitcher pricing. It's so sharp that you're paying ceiling prices for a lot of the mid-range guys, and so you kind of just have to, I think, suck it up and hope that one of these guys comes through. And Peters, I don't like the spot, but again, he's 5,600 and it lets me get bats.
I'm going to have some, but I won't be happy about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that my lineups tonight, when I'm like scrolling through them, looking at them, it's going to be like, oh, wow, this is a really good stack. Holy shit, what is my pitching? And then at the end of the night, hopefully some of that just kind of gets lucky and comes through.
Angels bats. It's an ugly lineup when Mike Trout is not in it.
Yes, it is.
They are not the worst value in the world today.
Yeah, Plutko's not very good.
No.
Ohtani's cheap. Upton's cheap. Goodwin's cheap. Calhoun's cheap.
Like, I really like Ohtani for 4,600.
I agree. Has he sucked lately? I feel like I haven't seen his name like on any of the Twitter accounts I follow, like any of the like barrel alerts or home run alerts that I follow.
I never see it.
I'll say not that it changes anything for me, but I feel like he might be in a slump or something.
Wouldn't shock me. 4,600, certainly not on a tear.
Right.
Indians bats. I mean, there's just a sea of them that stand out to me. They're all basically 4K.
Yeah. Puig, Luplo, Reyes starting there.
Yep, that'll work. Mercado, 4,100. Happy to get to Carlos Santana at 45, but it's not like the best value in the world. I'll pay whatever price they put on Francisco Lindor on a day-to-day basis. I would much rather have Indians bats than Dylan Peters.
I agree with that. I'll probably have more Dylan Peters than Indians bats, though.
Yeah, I would imagine you're not going to end up on 18% Indian stacks.
Right.
So, it's a safe bet. I would like to be over the field on 5% aggregate Indians.
I agree with that, too.
God, I'm so smart. Yu Cheng Chang, $7 on Yahoo. I hope that didn't sound as bad as it sounded in my head. But
it sounded pretty bad.
Okay. I mean, that's his name, isn't it?
Yeah, but the way you said it, I thought you were like making fun of someone in YouTube chat for a second, and I was just like, oh no.
Yeah. I didn't mean for it to sound like it did, but I don't know how else to say his name without it sounding stupid coming out of my mouth. Flat minimum on Yahoo. I think that's kind of appealing in this spot. I don't have anything else. Favorite bat in the whole game. This one's easy. Ooh, it's not easy.
Yes, I don't think it's that easy. Ohtani?
Okay. I'm fine with Ohtani. It was Puig to me when I asked the question because I was only thinking about the Indians, but I forgot about Ohtani.
Even out of the Indians, I think like Puig's the best, but I think Luplow and Reyes are right there.
Okay. Let's go Mariners and Reds. Talking the number one pitcher on the slate, in my opinion. 3.7 run implied total for Seattle, 4-4 for the Reds. Marco Gonzalez and Sonny Gray. Let's dig into the conversation here. How great is Marco Gonzalez?
Yeah, I mean, Gonzalez, even he's priced up. Yeah. This is the kind of slate where if you're ever going to roster Marco Gonzalez or consider it, like you would have some interest, but he's 8,300 with a 16.8% strikeout percentage on DraftKings, where pitching is the hardest to come by today. So even that's not really getting it done for me.
We need to talk about Sonny Gray here.
Yeah, obviously.
He's 52 on Yahoo, 10-2 on FanDuel, 10-6 on DraftKings. Go.
He's my top pitcher. Favorable park for pitchers. Seattle lineup that has plenty of strikeouts in it. Projected lineup has 6 lefties. For the season, Gray has been good against everyone, but he's struck out close to 30% of 28.3% of lefties, 28.7% of righties, 130 ISO to lefties, 120 to righties. I mean, he's been great this season. We know that. 28.5% strikeout percentage overall, 3.99 Sierra, ground ball percentage up around 52 or 53%. I would rather roster Gray at 10-6 here than Strasburg at 11-4.
Absolutely. I don't think it's close either. I mean, this is the same spot we got yesterday, only I would say that Sonny Gray is better than Trevor Bauer.
You said what?
I would say that Sonny Gray is better than Trevor Bauer.
I agree.
So you're getting everything that anybody said yesterday about Trevor Bauer in this same spot, only better, or at least more consistent, might be the better way to say it. You know,
I mean, I even think the upside's higher. Like his strikeout percentage is better than Bauer's this year.
Yeah. Bauer. It's just we think about Bauer mentally differently than he generally is on paper. As weird as it is. Because I picture him differently than his stats generally say.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bauer is really, really good, and I think he should be better than he has been. But we all know my thoughts on Sonny Gray too. So
very true. Yeah, he's my highest projected pitcher. I get the sense that he will be the guy that I have the most, and even at 21% ownership on DK, I don't find that to be putting me off at all. Lots of Sonny Gray plus Glenn Sparkman lineups in my future. What could go wrong?
Sonny Gray can just get tanked, man. How frustrating would that be? You get like 20 out of Sparkman, and then Gray goes out there and drops like 4.
What are the odds that Sonny Gray or that Glenn Sparkman outscores Sonny Gray today? 10%?
You probably have the answer to this in front of you.
But I don't. 10%?
Yeah, that seems fine.
Close enough that we don't have to go any further.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha. Offense. I don't love much. I certainly don't love the Mariners. Any interest in the Reds against Marco Gonzalez?
The price tags on Suarez and Aquino came up a little bit, but you do have some pretty nice value. Like Suarez and Aquino, I think, are still viable options. Iglesias probably batting 5th is really cheap. Senzel is cheap if he's back in there. I think that they're probably most useful as filler in lineups where you're just, you need a bat that gives you some upside.
Yeah, Senzel and Irvin grade out as like decent value, but this is not a spot I'm looking to get offense.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else for this game, do you? Just
Nope.
Play Sonny Gray.
Yep.
Padres and Cubs. Final game, coin flip game. Chris Paddock, Cole Hamels. Ownership is kind of flat for these guys on DraftKings, 8% apiece. Paddock getting a little love on FanDuel at 8,300. He's at 12%. These guys are getting the ownership on Yahoo, though. Paddock in particular at 23% ownership. Do you prefer Paddock or Hamels here? Or neither?
Neither. Yeah, I mean, I think Paddock's the better pitcher. He's got the tougher matchup, obviously, against Chicago. There's concerns about how deep in the games he's going to go. Like we know the Padres are, they've been kind of limiting him in game all year. Like he's going to throw 90 to 100 pitches tops. So when you get him at more expensive price points, it's tough. I think on FanDuel at 8,300, that's more appealing. But in general, on FanDuel and Yahoo, pitching is just priced down more today. So the relative to other pitchers on the slate, it's still, I don't think, a crazy good spot.
I kind of like Hamels on FanDuel the most, and that's the spot where he's getting the least amount of ownership. I prefer Hamels to Paddock, but not by much. I don't get the sense that I'm going to have a ton of either one of these guys, but Hamels on FanDuel is probably the spot I go the most. I don't know. That's it. From an offense perspective, this is not a fantastic offense spot, but Hunter Renfroe for $7 on Yahoo certainly stands out.
What do you think Jason Hayward's ISO against right-handed pitching is this season?
It's either going to be like 0.060 or 220.
Yeah, which one do you think?
0.060.
218.
Wow, it's almost really close.
Yeah. But so the point I was going to make here was that this is, for anyone that remembers a couple of weeks ago, there was that spot where the Cubs were facing Syndergaard, and we did the show, and I was just like, I don't think I'm going to really get to the Cubs, but their DraftKings pricing gives you so much upside because they're so inexpensive. And then they scored, like 12 runs in the first 3 innings or something. And I was just, pissed at myself. But it's the same kind of thing here where, yeah, it's a tough matchup against Paddock. But if you're just looking at like point per dollar upside, it's a pretty appealing spot when you have a $4,300 Schwarber and Castellanos. Rizzo's 41, Bryant's 4K. And I was, just kind of looking at the ISO numbers for the Cubs this year against right-handed pitching. Reyes is at 243, Hayward 218. I had no idea. Bryant 215, Schwarber 290, Caratini 187, Castellanos 212. There's a lot of power for the price on the Cubs.
Why is no one north of 4,300?
Like Paddock's good, I get it, but that doesn't make sense to me.
That's so low.
I think they're a low probability stack, but they're similar to the Diamondbacks to me. They're a low probability stack. They're not going to grade out that well because they have a low implied run total, but their range of outcomes is just, I think, really wide compared to other teams that have similar implied run totals.
They're like a talented Diamondbacks team.
Right.
From essentially top to bottom. And I clearly don't know enough about Nico Horner, but he's a $3,100 shortstop on the Cubs. So
he's he's weird. He's like their top prospect. He's a top 100 prospect overall. He doesn't grade out as a power hitter or particularly fast. So I don't really know what the deal is with him.
You're clearly not mad that you
get
this
year. He had 294 plate appearances. He stole 8 bases and hit 3 home runs. But he has like big time prospect status. So I don't really know.
Yeah, I like the idea of getting to the Cubs if they're completely unowned as they are right now.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how much I get to, because I wouldn't be surprised at all if I just get none. And I also wouldn't be surprised if when I'm like submitting my lineups and I look to see what I got to, I'm just like, oh my God, I have so much of this team that's unlikely to do very well, but is probably low owned and has a ton of upside and lets me not have to roster Glenn Sparkman.
Yeah, if I don't get a lot of them, I think that I'll run a crunch with just like 30 more Cubs lineups and just add it to my list just to make sure that they do show up, because I would like to be there. Any Padres bats standing out outside of Hunter Renfroe for 7 on Yahoo?
You act like Hunter Renfroe is going to be in the lineup.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I mean Renfroe and Machado.
Yeah, same page. 14 up and down.
A really cheap catcher.
Yeah, 2,700. That's not bad. 14 up and down. Coming up immediately after this, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Dave Lockard, Chris Spags taking their first look at Week 2 ownership. All of our projections and ownership have been posted for the NFL as of last night. So they are going to take a look at all of the data that we've got for Week 2. They are starting up at 11 a.m. So check them out after this. Deeper dive today at 4:45-ish. Live Before Lock at 6. PGA Live Before Lock, 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. A military something at the Greenbrier is the name of the event, which is, it doesn't roll off the tongue. Adam, anything else?
I'll have the deep dive article out behind the paywall whenever I figure out how the hell to write about these pitchers.
There you go, everybody. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, shout out to Yahoo Sports. Please check out EMAC Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article. Sign up at Yahoo and get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. The promo code Awesemo. Sign up at awesemo.com and get a month of Awesemo Plus for 50% off using the promo code MLB Strategy. That is it for us, everybody. Good luck tonight. We'll talk to you later.